down here? Oh, I recognize where we were. This is Lakeside. Lakeside? Yeah, I remember that I said you went here last time. Ah. Well. Can we go home now? Possibly. Let me try. Why is nothing happening? Well, I guess it's not charged enough. Okay, what does that mean? I think it wants 3 reviews. 3? Yeah, 3 is a magical number. So what should we review? I don't know. Guessing this. That's top 100 books, and I haven't gotten to that book yet. We actually rated for you to read and review every single book on the top 100 books list in order. We would never get to this one. Just review it. The setting is right, isn't it? Well, yes, at least in accordance to the last half of the book. The thing about The Secret Garden is that there is growth happening, really not just from the 2 main characters, but also from the garden itself. So we have the growth of the garden. We have it start out as this very gray, very dead thing, and then grow into green and growing and beautiful things. And obviously not just green, because, you know, there's more than just grass and stuff that's green, but you get what I'm saying. So the growth of the garden reflects the growth of our 2 main characters. And of course there are the 2 main characters' character growth, which is both just wonderful. Because the thing about Mary and Colin is that they go through very similar growth. They both start as very pale, very sickly, and not being able to get along with people, and end up as very full and very healthy and very personable. It's wonderful growth because we get to see this contrast between the previous people and the people that they have since become. And of course, one of the brilliant things about this is that Mary goes through her growth, and then Colin goes through his growth. So Mary can see Colin going through his growth and realize that she went through the same kind of growth. And in many ways, Mary actually goes through that growth still while Colin is growing himself. So seeing Colin go through this, seeing Colin act the same way that she did, helps her grow even more. And of course, seeing these 2 grow is, again, very comparable to the way that the garden itself is growing. And it's just very well done. And of course, the book mainly focuses on Mary and Colin. That is the main brunt of this novel. But it still shows that Archibald, Colin's father and Mary's uncle, also goes through growth. And while it is kind of shoved to the last chapter, it's still incredibly well written. Because what we get with Archibald is the fact that we see that he's growing along with the garden, much like Mary and Colin. Because we see the parallels between the way that Archibald is growing and becoming more alive, and the way that the garden itself is growing and becoming more alive. It specifically makes that reference that Archibald is growing at the same time the garden is growing. He's becoming more alive as the garden and his son is becoming more alive. And it's just so incredibly well done, especially when you consider that it's all in the last chapter. But despite that, it doesn't feel rushed. It feels natural. It feels like this is how he would normally grow. And the whole thing is just so well done. And I haven't talked about everything I could talk about. I could talk about Dickon for an entire video. I could talk about the relationships, those between Mary and Colin, and those between Mary and Dickon, and those between Colin and Dickon, and those between Mary and Colin and Dickon, not to mention Dickon's mother, who is herself an incredibly well-written character. And maybe someday I will. Maybe someday I'll focus on different aspects of this story and why it's so good. But for now, this is the review that I'm going to leave you with. So I suppose ultimately I should answer the question, because this is a top 100 books review technically, so I should ask this question: does it deserve to be on this list? And the answer is yes, yes, a million times yes. Seriously, when I first read this book, I wasn't as enthused about it as I am now. But having reread it, maybe just having it be in this setting, just really helps me realize just what a wonderful and fantastic piece of literature this truly is. All of these characters, all of the character growth, all of the garden growth connected to the character growth is all just so wonderfully done and so wonderfully well written that this more than deserves to be on the list. So my advice to you all is that if you have not read this book, you go and find it and you go and read it, because it is well worth your time.